And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the GSR Podcast. I'm your host, Jose Angelo Zulueta. And once again, we have Mr. Ian Cipriano, the head of property management here on GSR. And today we're going to be talking about documentation. So, Sir Ian,
Thank
let's
you,
say.
Angelo.
It's okay. The other shoe has dropped. That's fine. So, Sir Ian, for example, I've already tried to buy a property and the contract signing and the like is complete. What is the process like for buying a property sa documentation side?
Yes, actually, most of the developers, it depends on the developers actually,
Okay.
but they do have their common grounds also.
Okay.
So basically, they will issue you a CTS, which means a contract to sell at first. If the property is still under in-house or could be bank loan.
Hmm.
So the first documents that you will get to the developers or is contract to sell.
Okay.
Just in case there's some scenario that for example also you're planning to not continue the
Transaction.
transactions
Mhm.
or you want someone to continue on your behalf,
Yeah.
so they will issue you a transfer of rights,
Okay.
TOR, from the next buyer.
Oh.
So that would be the starting documents from purchasing a property.
Okay.
And if but the one that I told you is for the pre-selling stage only. But if the property is RFO,
Mhm.
ready for occupancy, usually they already have the CTS, and then the process of the title is short period of time only.
Okay.
But what's happening here in our country is it will still took 6 months on title processing.
That's to change the owner in the title.
Yes, actually, from the developer ownership going to your name.
Oh, okay. That's why it takes mga 6 months to
Yes,
process.
sa Japan medyo iba. It will take you 1 month only and 2
Oh.
months. Yeah.
Dati ba mas mabilis yung processing namin? O...
Um, no, actually,
Mm.
much better this year.
Oh, okay.
After the pandemic, much better. Siguro, medyo natutunan na ng mga developer yung adjustments.
All right.
And then the taxation law of, because there's a lot of tax law that the developer need to comply
Kaya medyo
transferring the
matagal.
title, yes.
Okay. It's because the laws for Japan are different from the laws that we have here.
Could be,
Kaya,
yeah.
kaya mga
Could
6
be.
months. That's 6 months for both the contract to sell and the transfer of rights? Or is it 6 months for the contract to sell plus the changing of names for the certificate of title?
It depends eh. The 6 months that I mentioned is the
Mhm.
fastest actually.
Oh, okay.
That's not the average. Yeah.
Oh no.
So it depends. If the property is under pre-selling stage, usually it's 4 years from the ground zero of the building, and then up to the turnover point.
Mm.
So developers like 4 to 5 years to build the condominium,
Okay.
and then they are not starting yet at the first stage to process the documents actually, even you purchase on the first year of pre-selling stage.
Okay.
So
is
that's
that?
why it will take too long. The processing, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about the processing stage, but some of the developer experience is most not actually some, most of the developer I
Mhm.
encountered when it comes on requesting the title copy, requesting the documentation report, is they're just processing the documentation and the title transfer on the fourth or the fifth year.
Mm. Why do you
So
think that
after the
is?
turnover, yes.
Bakit kaya ganyan yung procedure nila sa mga document?
Some of them, they have some documents they need to comply with the BIR, with the governments.
And they can only do that in the 4th or 5th years?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But basically, you should pay the property in full payment first.
Before you can get your documents.
The title, before they
Okay.
start to process the title.
Okay.
Because if you're not paid yet, you can get contract to sell only. So, in other way naman, if the developer has an in-house loan or you applied with the bank loan, so basically, bank loan will pay the developer. So they can process your title.
Okay.
But the difference is bank loan will acquire your title.
And then if you can't pay for the bank loan, the bank gets your title and your property.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I understand everything that you've told me so far. So if it's pre-selling within the 4th or 5th year before the building or the units get turned over, that's when they start processing the documents, and then they will give you a contract to sell. And then the contract to sell can become a transfer of rights if you either don't want the property anymore or you want someone else to handle another part of the transaction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then if it's already ready for occupancy, like an already existing condominium that's been around for a while, transfer certificate of title lang ba yung i-process?
If you have the CTS and then it's ready for occupancy already, the unit is turned over to you already. So the developer will start and will do the transfer. So the because the previous title is still under the developer's name, and then they will process it to change under your name. So the only requirements with that is basically the catch point is only you need to settle the full payment.
Okay.
So if you are settled with the full payment, automatically they will process your the title transfer under your name.
Oh. So where does GSR come in to help with these documents? What can our company offer so that the transfer and the documentation process is made easier?
Actually, from the start of the purchase. So even on the fill upping the form of the clients, the buyer information sheet, that's one of the starting documents when you purchase a property, and the documentations of the profile of the buyers submitting to the developers. That's the start, and then yes, the continuous coordinations with the developer when it comes on not only with the documentation but even with the monthly amortizations, the payments. Also, there's several documents that you need also. One of the requirements to proceed with the title documents progress of the properties.
Okay. So what are the examples of some documents we need to prepare to proceed with the transfer or to proceed with the issuing of the contract to sell?
Basically, the down payment.
Aside from the down payment?
Yeah, aside from the down payment is the standard is the passport. If it's foreign, standard is passport. So if it's local, a Filipino, could be driver's license as long as government valid IDs.
Okay.
But if foreign, passport only. So, and then aside from that, if the unit is you want to name the unit under your company, so there's certain documents that the developer will require to you. For example, your company SEC registrations, anything. So any company, if the company is local, yes, SEC.
Securities and Exchange Commission ba yung...
Yes, Security and Exchange Commission, SEC register, BIR certificate, business permits, like that. But if it's foreign company, so like a registration from that country. So iba-iba yun. Iba-ibang type of documents yun. So if if they like parang i-check nila to is as long as it's valid, the registration of the company is that's okay na. And then passport and then down payment.
All right.
Mm.
You mentioned mortgage payments and other succeeding, I guess, things to consider after getting uh, the contract to sell. Was it contract to sell? The registration of the property. How else does documentation help once those steps are done? So let's say in a year you already get the rest of your 6 months to a year, you already get the rest of your documents. Where does the documentation department come in after that? Like for example with mortgage payments and stuff.
What do you mean about the applying for the bank loan?
Yeah. Or helping settle the bank loan once you already have the documents.
Actually, when it comes on mortgage with the bank loan is for example, you don't have enough um money to pay the balance.
Yeah.
That's the reason why those properties cannot turn over to you because most of the developers requiring that you need to pay full amount balance before they turn over the unit to you.
Mm.
So the option is you could apply for bank loan or if it's local, you can apply for pag-ibig loan.
Okay.
So for bank loan is the only requirements that they need if the title is not yet on process is the contract to sell.
Okay.
And then your bank statement also. And if you have a company, even your company requirements, company documents. So if you are capable to pay to get a loan in the bank, so the bank will coordinate directly to the developer.
Okay.
So every developer they do have a division, loan division, the loan divisions. So loan division is the one coordinating with the bank directly, informing. They also informing the owner, but when it comes on documentation exchange is bank and the loan division of the developer.
Okay.
So usually they provided the CTS only and then the balance sheet, the statement of account. So that's the only requirements from the bank.
Okay.
As long as you get already a pre-approval from the bank, and then the remaining requirements would be the could be deed of assignment or just in case you're different from the first owner, and then the balance sheet, the statement of account, and then the contract to sell.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you need the balance sheet, statement of account, and deed of assignment if you're different, if you're getting it from a previous owner.
Yes.
Okay. I think I'm beginning to understand the process. So it goes with contract to sell, and then you submit your documents, then it's processed after 6 months minimum. And then when that's done, that's when the bank loans come into play and mortgage comes into play, no?
Yes.
Okay. So what can happen to disrupt that process? What problems can occur in documentation aside from not being able to pay for the property in full? Like, what kind of hiccups happen there?
To disrupt the process or to delay the process of getting the title.
Mhm.
Some has some problems with developer and our government agency about the taxes.
Oh.
So even you have the complete documents already, and then you already paid the full amount of the unit. So if that's the case, we cannot control. Yeah, we cannot do anything. It's between the whole project, and then the government agency.
Oh, so it's a problem on the developer side. If the developer failed to pay government taxes and dues, ganyan.
Yes.
Oh.
Because they need to settle some. They own the land, and then they built on that land. So then they divided before they built a property there. The land is under one title only.
Mhm.
So they need to separate it for the multiple owners now.
Oh,
If the property is 3,000 condominium units, so they need to separate that one title to
into
each.
3,000. Grabe, no? All right. So that's already a lot, I think, for me to process at the moment. In the meantime, I think it's fine if we take a short break to just grab a cup of water and figure stuff out. So we'll see you in just a bit.
For all of your property needs, come to Global Strategy Real Estate, GSR. We at GSR are your one-stop shop for anything related to your property and more. From management to buying, selling, documentation, and maintenance, we have your back. At GSR, we aspire to provide the level of quality and service which put Japan on the map as one of the hallmarks of hospitality. Let us manage your property today.
And we're back. Thank you again so much, everyone, for joining us for the GSR podcast. Once again, this is your host, Jose Angelo Zulueta, and we have Mr. Ian Cipriano here again to help us talk about documentation. So, let's narrow down the scope of topics we have. Let's say, hypothetically, we're on the pre-selling side of documentation. Binili ko na yung property, naglipas na ng, let's say, mga 1 year,
Yeah.
may contract to sell na ako at medyo inaasikasuhan ko na yung mortgage ko. What comes next after that? Tapos, anong mga documents na kailangan kong i-alalay? What do I have to worry about when that's done?
Okay. So, yes, you have this contract to sell na.
Mhm.
And then let's say also the payment is full na, or
Mhm.
if it's bank loan, basically the bank paid it already to the developer. So the next is you just need to wait for the title, and then when the title comes out, so if you get the title already, for example, you're not here in Philippines, and then the developer inform you that the title is available for release.
Mhm.
You can assign someone through making an SPA.
Okay.
So
Special power of attorney?
yes, special power of attorney to claim the title and to sign necessary documents to get the title. So it's okay even you're not here, and then if you are here naman, you can claim it through the developer, the main office of the developer, not to the property. So every developer has their main office.
Okay.
Here, for example, Ayala, they have main office here in Albeo in BGC, like
Okay.
that, Siang in Mandaluyong. So once you get the title,
Mhm.
the physical title, actually that's the relief for every buyer.
Okay.
Once you get the physical title, you need to check those annotation in the title. Sometimes there's annotation in the title.
What does it mean if there's an
So,
annotation?
Annotation, it's very sensitive part of the title.
Okay.
So it could be bad, it could be good also.
Okay.
So some of the annotations I experienced before from the developer has some problems on settlement with the government agency. So or some developers has some problems on the land, like with LRA, Land Registration Authority in government agency, and developers some problem on the as-built. The proposed as-built is not really the outcome.
Oh.
So there's annotation in the title.
Okay. So if there's an as-built problem, that means that the actual built property was different from the specifications they gave to the government before.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So there's a lot of annotations.
Okay.
Sometimes it's manageable. We can consider it solved, especially if it's like one of our top developers here.
Okay.
But be careful on those startup developers. So you need to do background checks on that. You need to be careful on the documentation. Even at the start, you need to secure the license to sell of the property
Oh.
before you're purchasing. So you have things that to consider before purchasing the property. So because it could appear on your
Annotations.
title
in the
annotation,
title.
and then you will be having a problem on selling that property.
Oh.
You can get the property, you can live there, but sometimes if the title has annotation, it's really hard to sell.
Mhm.
For example, the annotation is so minor only. For example, there's a like the room floor plan. It's not the actual outcome.
Okay.
So there's an annotation there, and then eventually you want to sell it. And then if you sell it to another person, cash buyer is okay. But the problem, if they transfer the title, the annotation will transfer too.
Okay.
So until they resolve it. So you need to resolve it to the developers.
So how would you resolve an annotation like that? Like if the size of the property isn't as displayed, how is that resolved? Do you need to expand, or do you need to shorten the property? How is
Actually,
that?
it's between the developer and then the LRA, the Land Registration Authority. Or
Oh,
depends.
Okay.
So the developer should be the one to resolve it. So what you need to do is to make a follow-up with them, checking other side also with the LRA to know more about the process. But yes, they should be the one to solve it.
Okay.
So because there's a lot of annotation, it could be your side too, like because the unit is under mortgage, so there's a mortgage
Okay.
annotation also.
Okay.
So you cannot sell it.
Because then the buyer of your property would have to inherit the mortgage.
Yes,
And
that's
then-
correct. Maybe I'll discuss it you with another topic, but I will give you a brief idea about the mortgage annotation. For example, it's under under pag-ibig loan.
Okay.
You process an under pag-ibig loan, and then the pag-ibig settled the full amount balance in the developer, and then pag-ibig requires the annotation. So in the annotation of the title, there's a annotation there under pag-ibig mortgage. So you cannot sell it to anybody. You cannot sell.
Until the mortgage is settled.
Yes, because they will remove the annotation until you settle the mortgage from pag-ibig.
Is it possible for someone to buy the property even with that annotation and then just be the one to take care of the existing mortgage?
Actually, it's not. It's not right.
It really
it's not
has to be
possible.
settled by the current owner.
Yes.
Okay. So let me see if I have this correct, if I understand this correct. Pretend we have the contract to sell already, and then it's been a year, and then we get the title. That means we already have the physical title in our hands, which is, according to you, a very large relief because it means everything is pretty much okay.
Yeah.
Next, we have to examine the physical title for annotations, especially if they are on the developer/land registration authority side, because that way we can follow up with either side para ialis yung mga annotations na yan
Yes.
para mas madali ibenta uli. We can also cause the title to get annotations on our side if we are unable to pay mortgages or settle certain fees. Okay. Did I get all that correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
great. Okay, I think we can wrap up the episode from there with all of that. Yeah, no, because that's quite a lot of things to cover, and this is only on pre-selling. No, there's more still that we have to
there's
discuss
more of
eventually.
Documentation like a category.
Like for RFO and for
Yes.
lease. Okay, all right. I don't mind having another chat with you like this. At this point, I think we can consider each other good friends in the workplace.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you again so much, Sir Ian, for joining us
Thank
on
you
this
also.
episode. We're looking forward to having you on the
Yes,
next one
please,
as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for everyone watching, please don't forget to follow us on social media. We have the QR for our link tree. We're going to show it below where you can follow us on all of our other different SOCMED areas. You can also follow us with @GSR Philippines, or just give us a quick Google search, GSR Philippines. Leave us a Google review if you did your good too. It helps us, it helps you. You can also visit our website at www.gsr-ph.com. That's www.gsr-ph.com. If you liked this episode, you want to review it, or you want to hear of other episodes of our podcast, you can also check us out not only on YouTube, but on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music. This has been your host, Jose Angelo Zilweta and Sir Ian Cipriano, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!